Hello guys, how are we doing? Welcome back to another video. Today I've got a game week 28 of the Championship review for you. It was an interesting one, lots of goals, some shocks in terms of results, but yeah, plenty to talk about. Alright, so I did do some predictions this week and I didn't do too badly, as you see. I got six results correct and 2 correct scores, so not as bad as the last few weeks. I think didn't do them last week, and then the week before I got 2, and then that week before I got 1, so an improvement. But like I said, certainly some shocks in there. Particularly the Leeds Millwall game, and Wolves losing as well. But getting into them as we go. But yeah, an improved week in terms of predictions. Okay, so we're going to start with our Friday night game, and that was Derby versus Bristol City. It finished at 0-0. There were plenty of shots in the game for both sides, but neither could find a way through. And also later on, Cameron Jerome was booked for diving. As a Norwich fan, I picked up on that, and I thought it was slightly harsh, but I could see why the ref gave it. But that keeps Derby's unbeaten run going, and so it's 4 without a win in the league for Bristol City now, but they're still 5th, so still right in the mix, and Derby stay 2nd. So yeah, it's not too bad for either club. Derby travel to Millwall next, and Bristol City host QPR. Okay, so our first game from the 3 o'clock games, then Aston Villa against Barnsley. Aston Villa beat them 3-1. All 4 of those goals I think were scored inside the first 20 minutes. And yeah, Scott Hogan bagging 2, as I think that he'd scored just 1 in his previous, 30 as of last season. But then I think he's now got 3 goals in 4, so he's starting to find some form. And also Villa are too. That's 4 wins on the trot for them. They travel to Sheffield United next. Barnsley remain 19th and host Fulham. Bolton drew 1-1 with Ipswich. Gary Medina gave the Trotters the lead, but Joe Garner equalised for the Tractor Boys then. So the form for these teams have been quite mixed. And next game for Bolton is Bristol City. They don't have a game in game week 29. I'll be getting onto the fixtures towards the end of the video, but the next game is to Bristol City. They move up 1 place in the table to 20th, whereas Ipswich remain 12th. Still outside the playoff places, but still well within reach, I think. And they host Wolves next Saturday. Fulham recorded a thumping win at the hands of Burton, and yes, Font with 2 goals. Ryan Sessegnon, the 17-year-old, with 2 goals as well. And Fulham really are the team to beat at the moment. It's certainly not one that you want to play. That's 4 wins out of 5 for them, and they're continuing their playoff march. I think just a point outside the playoff places now. Be a 6-0, a huge goal margin. Burton, who have just improved a bit in recent weeks, but 2 defeats on the trot for them, and that leaves them bottom of the table. Quite possibly the game of the week then. Leeds 3, Millwall 4. Millwall took the lead. Pun was not intended there. And Leeds also had a red card, and there was a lot of controversy around that. And then Leeds in the second half fought back and led 3-2 before Millwall managed to nick 2 late goals, including one in the 92nd minute from Jed Wallace, and they won that game 4-3, which was their first away win of the season. And it moves on to 15th. Leeds are down to 10th, but it's pretty tight between 7th and 10th. And next week, Mill do have an FA Cup game, and that's against Rochdale. And Leeds, in the next game week, travel to Hull. Norwich lost for the first time in 5 games at the hands of Sheffield United, who got their revenge for a performance from Norwich earlier in the season. That's just to put it lightly. So a good result for Sheffield United, keeps them in the playoff push, keeps them 6th. Whereas Norwich, just a little check in their progress, and they've got a tough game next week at Brentford. So important that they pick up some points there. And Sheffield United host Preston in the FA Cup. Preston and Birmingham played at a 1-1 draw, a score that I actually did predict, so pretty surprising there. Preston took the lead in the first half, but the Blues responded in the second half to pick themselves up a point. And so just maybe a slight blip for Preston, 1 win in 5, but also only 1 defeat in 5, so they're continuing to pick up points. Whereas Birmingham, things have improved a bit lately, so they are, as I said, starting to pick up points and getting closer to moving out of that relegation zone. 4 wins in 6 games now for Tony Pulis and Middlesbrough, this time 3-0 away at QPR. So Pulis looks like he's starting to turn fortunes around now. Borough pretty close to the playoffs. Also included a goal from George Friend, which, as you see, I will have given my goal of the week to. So QPR won 2 on the trot before this, so they weren't doing too badly, but they do go down to 16th. Whereas yet Borough's sort of up and down form continue, but like I said, they are picking up points, they are winning games, and they host Brighton next week in the Cup, whereas QPR travel to Bristol City. Reading struggles continued as they winless in 5 games now. 6 games I think that is, and this time it was informed Brentford who beat them, who have won 4 of their last 5 and are really flying at the moment and mounting a good playoff push. They move up to 9th there, so like I said, it's pretty tight in there, so not too far from 6th. Reading go to Sheffield Wednesday, there's a typo there, apologies for that, next week in the FA Cup, and Brentford host Norwich. Sunderland picked up a vital victory by beating Hull, who are also on their own little winless run at the moment. So Sunderland ended a run of 3 defeats and 4, so good for them to pick up the 3 points. 22nd they remain, and Hull remain at 21st, but a crucial win for Sunderland, and Hull have got an FA Cup game against Nottingham Forest next, whereas Sunderland travel to Birmingham. Aitor Karanka's Nottingham Forest won their first game under him, and it was a 2-0 win at Wolves, who had been doing extremely well lately, and obviously still are, as they're still, I think, 8 points clear at the top, so not too much to worry about for them. I mean, you're going to lose games in this league, it doesn't really matter how good you are. Wolves are looking good for promotion still. A good win for Nottingham Forest, moves them up to 14th, and obviously, as I said, ends that run, and they've got a cup game against Hull to look forward to, well, they can be the judge of that, and Wolves travel to Ipswich. In the late game of the day, Sheffield Wednesday and Cardiff played out a goalless draw, so that's now 3 games. Sheffield Wednesday, including the cup, haven't conceded under their new manager, whereas Cardiff, they went on a poor run before this, but win the draw, so they're right back in the mix. Still third, so still looking pretty good, but Sheffield Wednesday still 17th and still just needing to pick up a few points to get their season back on track. But yes, Wednesday have a cup game against Reading next, and Cardiff have a cup game at home to Man City, so yes, certainly one that they'll be looking forward to, especially Neil Warnock. This week's summary then, so result of the game week I've given to either Nottingham Forest or Millwall. I couldn't really split the two because, I mean, it was Millwall's first away win of the season, and Nottingham Forest beat the league leaders, who are unbeaten, I think 13 games before this. Most important victory I've given to Sunderland, as that was crucial in the context, as they needed the points to make sure they stay away from the bottom 3, and also it was against Hull, so it was against another possible relegation rival. Goal of the game week, George Friend, I had to give it to. It's a fantastic strike from him. Picks the ball up about 30 yards out to the left, just crunches a strike straight into the top corner, and fantastic goal. My prediction score, better, 6 correct results and 2 correct scores, so pretty good there. And promotion, I'm still pretty certain that Wolves are going to go up, but relegation, I'm really not sure, because in the last few weeks the teams down the bottom, have started to all pick up points. I mean, Burton won a couple of games on the trot, Sunderland just won, Bolton won a couple of games, so it's pretty tough to split them at the moment, and I think only time will tell. As for the table then this week, a few movers, especially in that sort of top second quarter of the league. Fulham, Borough and Brentford all now pretty close to the playoff places, along with Leeds and Preston, but Fulham the ones I think closing in, especially on the run that they are. In the bottom half, not too much change. At the bottom, Bolton up to 20th, a couple of points, 1 point clear now of the bottom 3, and Nottingham Forest and Millwall also going up a couple of places due to their respective wins. Looking ahead to Game Week 29's fixtures then, there are 2 teams that are going to be missing this game week. That is Cardiff and Bolton, I believe, so they'll be playing in Game Week 30, so I'll be covering them there on that. So of course there is FA Cup next weekend, so all the teams that are playing in the FA Cup or are supposed to be playing teams that are playing in the FA Cup, if that makes any sense, they're playing on the Tuesday the 30th of January, or Tuesday the 31st of January, I think so. The video for this will be uploaded on that Wednesday. I don't think there's any games on a Wednesday, but they could be subject to change depending on what happens in the FA Cup. But yeah, 4 games on the Saturday: Barnsley against Fulham, Brentford against Norwich, Bristol City versus QPR, and Ipswich versus Wolves. So be interesting to see what happens in all of these games. I mean, Sheffield United against Villa looks like it should be a good game. Borough against Sheffield Wednesday. But yeah, so Game Week 29 is not looking too bad. Okay, so that's going to be it for Game Week 28 then. I'm enjoying making these videos at the moment. I'm enjoying the fact that I can cover all of the clubs. Of course, I'm not spending too long because I don't go to all of these games, so I can't offer too much knowledge and analysis towards it without trying to sound biased at all. Like, the only games I go to are Norwich games, and obviously then I cover the team that Norwich are playing. But yeah, I'm enjoying making these videos, and the next one, Game Week 29, will be uploaded in a couple of Wednesdays' time, as long as I get round to it, but I will let you know a few more details on that. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. As usual, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.